Estado, né?
É.
Rogério, a gente não está ouvindo nada, não.
Fernando Quevedo, who cannot attend because he's actually a big move from different countries this week, but he's also part of this. And so I'm going to speak first, and then Luciano Maiani will also say a few words because about this effort. He's the chair of the high-level strategy group of our effort. Okay, so just to explain a little bit what this is, LASF4RI. So as I said, this is the Latin American Strategy Forum for Research Infrastructure. And what we're doing is to develop a strategy to strengthen Latin American scientific collaborations and their impact. And this is the first time a strategic planning process in high energy cosmology and astroparticle physics, this HECAP acronym, with community input. So this is a community-based effort, is done in Latin America. And all the documents can be found in the page of this page here of LASF4RI. So as I said, this is the third one. We had a first a symposium in 2019, April, May 2019. A second one was in 2020, and this was to prepare for the first strategic planning in Latin America. So we are inspired by this SNOMES process in the US and also other processes in other parts of the world. It is community-driven, and what we do in the end is recommendations based on the white papers that are submitted by the community. For the first strategy planning, we had 39 white papers that were submitted, and we produced 3 main documents: a HECAP, Latin American High Energy Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics briefing book that is also put in the archives. We also have a strategy document with some 10 recommendations and the endorsement letter from the high-level strategy group. So again, all the documents can be found in this page. And Marta will speak a lot more about this process tomorrow. Okay, so this is one of the outcomes of this effort. This is a complex landscape that was revealed of the interactions and in the collaborations of different countries in different experiments. Of course, I'm not going to go through this, but just to show you that here on the top, we have experiments or facilities in astroparticles and cosmology, here in high energy and nuclear physics, and here in neutrinos and dark matter. And this is all written, all these things is described in the physics briefing book. And these are the countries that participate in the first round. Now we have more countries participating, as you will see in this symposium later on. And the experiments have some color codes, which regards the status and the development of each experiment. So what we want to do is the update of this, okay? And I think this is kind of interesting for the funding agencies as well, to see how interconnected all these collaborations are. So we also created in 2021 Latin American Association for High Energy Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics, which we call LAA-HECAP. This is the homepage. And again, this is a community-based effort. And at the moment, we have more than 560 members. And what we do, we have a chart of things to do, but for this meeting, I think what's important is that we need to engage with ministries, funding agencies, and other national authorities related to science technology to promote the rollout and development of the current LASF4RI HECAP process. So that's why we're going to have today a special session with funding agencies in Latin America, and also to coordinate periodic assessment and strategic planning within this process, the LASF4RI HECAP process, and that's what we're doing in this week, okay? This periodic assessment. So we're doing an update of the first strategy planning. So the main goals of the symposium are to update the strategy document through the white papers submitted, the new white papers and updated white papers submitted by the community, to engage with funding agencies in the region, to hear from similar efforts in other regions. So we're going to hear from Hitoshi Murayama, for instance, who coordinates the P5 effort in the US. And also we're going to hear from Paris Ficas about the European strategy planning, also from Ketevi about the African planning, and Marta will review our planning in Latin America. And also to hear new initiatives in high energy, in HECAP, that's going to appear in this process, mainly new plans for accelerators, etc. Okay, so we have a packed agenda. until Thursday. If you saw the program, it's really packed. And now I will pass the word to Luciano Maiani, who is the former CERN Director General and Chair of the High Level Strategy Group. So Luciano, you can unmute and maybe share your slides if you have some, or just make a presentation, okay? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm sorry not to be able to come to Sao Paulo. And in my very small introduction, I would like to speak about international collaboration, starting from the fact that it is this year exactly 70 years that CERN has been founded. It was 1954, physics was becoming a big science, and the courageous generation of scientists, Amaldi, Auger, Heisenberg, Bohr, etc., understood that European countries, divided, had no future. It was a hard task to traduce this concept into a fact. The proposal was to build a laboratory to which all European countries would contribute, and that by this way could have a level of financing adequate to keep up with the competition from United States and from Russia. It was a hard task, and it was not easy. In fact, it took 20 years for the first big discovery of CERN, which was the neutral currents in 1973. That was just the beginning of a series of great discoveries that had been at CERN. CERN lost the James I, but discovered the W boson, etc. And a wise policy was to keep the building of successive machines to the PS, which was the initial one, building them at the same site. That reinforced the international collaboration, and this policy was followed by the construction of LHC, which in fact, after a long discussion, was built at CERN and led eventually to the discovery of the Higgs boson. What about Latin America? Latin America has an enormous intellectual potential for discovery, and but has difficulties in making a systematic collaboration. I had experienced that with the programs Helen and ePlanet. Helen and ePlanet lasted for 10 years. There was a very useful and interesting experience to bring Latin American people in collaboration with European and in collaboration with CERN. LA countries must learn the CERN lesson and unite the efforts towards a common policy for the big facilities. Helen and ePlanet are an example of this collaboration, and Auger also moved with the input of Helen and ePlanet, moved from being a pure US-centric to a very important, really international experiment. I would conclude here, again, repeating that the target of making a big common project in Latin America is a very useful target. We have to find a reasonable mechanism for financing, and above all, we have to find a reasonable management model and a reasonable model for the collaboration of the different states. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luciano. So I think with this, we close the opening session. And now we're going to have a session, another session, the first session of the common thing. And so we have two speakers now, and then we have a coffee break, and then we separate it to conferences after the coffee break. Okay, so I think we can start. We're a bit early, but I think it's good to be early. So the first speaker is Professor Ricardo Galvão. Careful here. And Professor Ricardo Galvão is the current president of the Conselho Nacional de Desenvolvimento Científico e Tecnológico, that we know as CNPq, which is a federal funding agency. And he's going to talk about CNPq and Brazilian participation in HECAP international collaboration. So thank you, Professor Galvão.
Thank you very much, Rogério. Good morning to everybody. I thank you, Nate, and also for the invitation to come here. It is a great satisfaction to see many friends here. And I'll say a few words about, start with high energy physics, and then going to, let me remember if I know how to do this. I think so. I think this show, yes. So a few words about the CNPq, which is a Brazilian National Center for Scientific and Technological Development, and that has been playing a very important role in supporting actions in this field and many other areas also. As Luciano said, the finance is always a problem, right? And so I would say it's not a solution. It's not a solution when you are too much diversified. Let's make the point straight, okay? So let me go on. If this works, I have to point there or here. Yeah, so, okay. So the first agreement we signed, so I say a few words about that, was president of CNPq 1990, Gerard Jacob, very famous scientist, Dutch scientist that came to Rio Grande do Sul, south of Brazil, and played a very relevant role in establishing high energy physics, actually theoretical physics in Brazil. And he was the first person talking with Roberto Salmeron, that was in CERN, that put up this idea of Brazil participating strongly in CERN. Well, I see this is a place of theoretical physics, because it's not working very well this year. Okay. So following this agreement, so say a few words. I'm sorry to put some details about financing, but since I'm a fund agency now, you have to understand how those things work sometimes. Well, following this agreement, was established a special fund to support Brazilian participation of Brazilian scientists in CERN and also at Fermilab, because the first one in high energy physics, they went to Fermilab. And but the way this financial resource was used was not very much organized. No, it was not continuous, let's say. So since 1994, 1996, this amount of dollars was expended, but the fund was exhausted in 2001. But simultaneously, there was a memorandum of understanding that was signed between CNPq, but it was very special in that time. I think Elio remembers that. It was very special because it was signed with University of Rio de Janeiro, support mainly Atlas. I think was with Marroquin, right? Was support mainly Atlas, but so was not very well disseminated among the other areas. No? But a secure instrument for permanent participation of Brazilian scientists in CERN was still missing. But then, see if this will go. Then we had another president of CNPq, just to show how relevant was the participation of CNPq, with Professor Ney de Camargo, a physician actually, not a physicist, but he was also worried about establishing a permanent solution to support and participation of Brazilians in CERN. And then he sent, he started actually in September, sent a letter to CERN, and CERN responded with two proposals to adjust this agreement between CNPq and CERN regarding the participation of Brazilian scientists. But this was still not completely smoothed out. So what was established? The training of Brazilian students carry out in these many 4 collaborations, and participate of Brazilian students in their academic training that was established, that what they did there was obligatory to be part of their doctoral thesis. And there was established of annual quotas, that money that CNPq would put in CERN. And CNPq was then responsible for select candidates and provide resources. But even though at that time I was director of CBPF in Rio, was always a trouble, always to get the money in the right time, how to put money in all the institutions, because maybe foreigners do not understand the way it works. When the Minister of Science Technology puts money for a special purpose, not in an open call, but direct to a special group, this money has to go to an institution for the Minister of Science and Technology. Cannot come to University of São Paulo or NESP directly. So that is the problem, how to organize this. For some time, gave me some nightmares in CBPF. But then came, he's not here, a good friend of us, Glaucius Oliva, also a physicist. He was director, president of CNPq at that time. And then he established this fixed contribution to pay for MNO in CERN, $180,000 a year. That's still today. Currently, that's what the amount of money we put, and that was established by Glaucius Oliva. But the agreement was the money, we decided the money, but the agreement was not established saying that it was obligation of Brazil. But came another physician, or let me go back, another physician that was president of CNPq in 2016, he renewed the agreement. And then became, oh gosh, that's, and then this agreement was signed, as you see here, and then those were the collaborations. Federal University of Rio de Janeiro's Atlas, all those institutions, CMS, CBPF, HCB, and so forth. And even in low energy physics, but very important for to study the basics of matter, this alpha collaboration, very relevant. So, and a fund was created for CNPq to deposit the money in a CERN account. That's the way it was done. And we are able to somewhat overcome all the difficulties, the bureaucratic difficulties, and the money were then for MNO costs and development expense. Not too much, but was enough to maintain physicists, scientists, and students going to CERN. Here's the first question. I saw the list of our plan here, a list of a collaboration that comes from the heaven and goes to hell, right? So long that I was impressed. The first time I was still director of CBPF when in 2009, when I went to there to discuss the Association of Brazil, participation of Brazil associate member state of CERN. And the director general of CERN was the German Hauer, was the, and he invited me to a dinner in the evening with representatives from other countries also that were being considered to participate in CERN, or China, Korea, I think India, Japan, all that to participate. And I set a table, and he immediately asked me the question. He said, Brazilians scientists are very good, very welcome in CERN. You have 80 physicists who work here. Why you are dispersed in 5 collaborations, while China has 300 and just 1 collaboration, CMS? I didn't have an answer. So I was somewhat without an answer, but my answer was to ask the Chinese representative. I asked him, look, how you decide to participate to one collaboration? Because my area is fusion physics, and China in fusion participate in ITER. They are very concentrated also, and very good also, incredibly good. And then I asked, didn't you have physicists suggest to participate in all collaboration? He said, of course we did. Many very good proposals. And I asked, well, how you decide to participate in just one? How was the choice made? I was expecting something saying about the Higgs or something else. He said, no, we chose the collaboration in which the Chinese industries could participate more. That was the answer. Very clear. Sometimes in physics or in science, we're naive about how support comes for science, for those collaborations. I'm not sure. I think they participate in 2 collaborations now, the Chinese. Next month, I'm going to be in CERN. I'll ask them. Let's go to the next one. But then, finally, took a long time. Brazil was called to be associate member state of CERN. There was with Minister, with me, where this goes. Yeah, with Minister Mark Sponte and Professor Fabiola Gianotti, who signed this agreement. But this would took some time to Brazil to respond. All the constraints had to the obligation had to follow. And then finally, this year, Brazil became finally associate member of CERN. I'm telling this story for you to see that the process to participate in collaboration is normal. That takes time. Some people come to talk to me. Helio comes every month. He goes to CNPq. He asks him that. And they think that's immediate. It's not like that. So it takes time, and it's natural to take time. So we became associate member state, and then Salvatore Melli, he sent me a message. You can read it here, because then Brazil became associate member state. The agreement between CNPq and CERN had to be changed. Had to be written in new terms, because Brazil, the money coming to CERN comes from these bureaucratic issues, come from the Ministry of Science and Technology. And CNPq is part of the Ministry of Science and Technology. So there was an overlap, a confusing overlap between the roles. And that made us, was obligatory to change this agreement. So we did. If I can show you. Then this in few months ago, we signed this new agreement. There is a new agreement between CNPq and CERN. It's still providing the same amount of money, but now with this money we provide, we can actually put more in the future, depending on demand and depending on a very important issue that Brazil has not defined yet, the industrial liaison officer. That's very, very important. We have the name, the person is there already, but has not yet been nominated by the Brazilian government. So we signed that. oh, so much about CERN, but before I move to other issue, many people ask what we pay, actually. So the associate membership is a little over 10,000 Swiss francs this year, 10 million Swiss francs this year, a large amount. I wish it was less, but but over 10 million Swiss francs a year. Just to give you an idea, among the associate member states, well, first Brazil, although United States collaborate a lot with CERN, is not associate member state. So Brazil is the first American country to be associate member state of CERN. So this year, as I said, we paid, because I read here, but there is a million, so 10 billion Swiss franc, a little over. There is a slight increase for next year. So you see among the associate member states, Brazil is the second one in the amount of money. India is the first one with $18 million, slight over $18 million paid to CERN. So this money goes there, and then is all the development CERN, and also maintenance, and some, but not new experiments. And this maintenance and the M&O cost, that is put the money that CNPq put, is goals already divided in the 5 collaborations. So the amounts there is defined. Each collaboration has certain amount. I don't remember the figures anymore. I don't have here, but I can give later if you wish. And we have a very, all the collaborations have a good bookkeeping that send us where the money is spent at the end. But we have also contributions to this national network of high energy physics that was created in 2008. This network is also receives money. You see how confusing sometimes this is. Also, it receives money from the Ministry of Science and Technology. However, this network decides in their internal policy where the money goes. And sometimes many times actually, they send to CERN. When I was director of CBPF, we sent every year, but the situation changed slightly. And the last time we sent was over 600,000 Swiss francs to CERN. And my friends in high energy physics always complain that they need more money. And I said, go and talk to the minister, not to me. But, okay. Gosh, Nathan, you have to put a new battery in this thing here. Not, oh. So that agreement that, well, now, why, yeah, is going too much. Gosh. Lab Dune. Let's talk about Pierre Roger. Marianne was saying with the Pierre Roger. I like this figure very much because this water tanks were developed in Brazil and they actually end up being applicable in other areas. That's important always to say. Very important areas, this development made in Brazil. When I visit Pierre Roger, it's incredible. It's an incredible experience, right? I remember the mirrors that I saw there made also by Brazilian industries. So we have always to stress that. When you talk with politicians, you have to stress that. Forget about the Higgs, about anything, about the high energy commons, forget about all that. Talk about companies and brands they have. So in Pierre Roger, if this goes on, the Brazilian participates since 1999. Actually, the discussion about it was 1991 and 1992. I was in the University of São Paulo. I still remember my colleagues talking about that. But the beginning was 1999, if I recall correctly. If I recall, my good friend Ronald Scheller always talking about that. And was FAPESP CNPq. We have this agreement with this Fundação Observatório Pierre Roger in 2009, and then had to change Fundação Aukenan in 2016. And this agreement is good. I had to renew it again because it was the end. Last year, we renewed it. but it's fixed $6,000 US dollars a year that is put by CNPq for this collaboration, Pierre Roger. They talk about, to talk about Dune also, this very important project that also involves Brazilian companies, very relevant for Brazil. The support for this comes not from the CNPq, but comes from, I have to say a few words to that, about that for foreigners. Brazil has resources besides different states. When you talk national level, there are resources from the Ministry of Science and Technology and other ministries also, but there is a special fund, this National Fund for Science and Technology Development, FNDCT in Portuguese. This money coming from companies from different areas like transport, the oil industry, defense, aeronautics, etc. These resources are, they go to this FINEP, it's a financial agency, and they are fixed every year depending on what they come from the year before. This year, to have an idea, we're investing 10.4 billion reais a year. We are going to increase next year to almost 14 billion reais. However, this cannot be spread in any area. It has to go to strategic plans of the government. Now we have 10 strategic plans to apply this money. The first one is precisely for developing science and technology. And from this first strategy that came in the resources for June. Comes for that is called develop of the scientific technological infrastructure, Brazilian infrastructure, and then came from this resource for June. So when it comes to that, CNPq cannot put money directly because it's somewhat a competition between two different sources. And what we decide, because I'm also in the board that decides the resource for that, what we decide was to put slightly under 9 million reais in resource, 50 this year, 35 next year. That is what these resources is not just to explain people that work in June here. Sometimes they go to talk to us. It's not simple for us to do that because all the resources for federal government has to go in a national call, open national call. In this case of June, it's not open national call, it goes directly to that application. When it goes direct to that application, we have to justify to the government. It's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes people ask when it goes, because it's true, it's clear that there is a national law that obliges to be open and call. So you have to say, look, only this group can do that. That is much involved. It's not always simple to convince the lawyers that we are doing the right thing. So June comes from this resource for those two programs you see there. Comes from program 2, Innovation, Industrialization, Sustainable Bus. See, this program 2 is another one to develop Brazilian industry. And the only reason why June was able to get such money, because there are Brazilian industries very strongly involved in that. And that was the justification we got. Let me talk in general about the general international scientific collaborations. Maybe you from abroad cannot see, but there is a organization in Brazil called CGE that makes overall studies about many things, but also about science and technology in Brazil. And they have published last year a bulletin about the international collaborations in Brazil. Maybe you talk about June and other collaboration recap, but you have to think a little bit more about collaboration in general. Sometimes the collaborations, the Brazilian collaboration, when you talk with federal government, you have to be careful. It's too much United States and Europe. Be honest about it. What's the collaboration in Brazil that has the government see with open eyes, Brazil and China? We developed the satellites for observation of the Earth. Is considered the most successful international collaboration of Brazil. More than CERN, more than OG, more than the others one. Because Brazil develops 50% of the satellites, China's 50%, and they're essential to monitor deforestation of the Amazon forest. Absolutely essential. So what are our collaboration? You can see here. First, naturally, United States, there has been that, and go all the way down to China. And what you see here is how those countries that we collaborate, what are the countries they collaborate more? Okay, and you can see here, for instance, China collaborates with England, Canada, Germany. 14th place is Brazil. So when you talk about international collaboration, more than, not more, but instead of just looking scientific interest, you have to look a bit more about broadness, how many people get involved in the world. Well, I believe this the last one, but let me go to see if there is another one. No, there is another one. Nathan, new battery, please, Nathan, here. So when I took office in CNPq, I was astonished how much the international collaboration had decreased. So we started to put a lot of money now in recovering the international collaboration that were very productive in the past for Brazilian science. And the first one we are signed now, Conselho Nacional delle Ricerche, Italy, Professor Maria Carrozza were in Brasilia talking about that. So we are now signing again this, actually signed it already. We just launched a call for participations in this collaboration. Now we are signing another one with ICTP, with France, with Holland, and other ones. Why I say that? Because when you look international collaboration, people go to talk with me, high energy physics, they don't look in the collaboration, they already exist. They come with something new. And you are doing wrong. Look into what already exists and try to explore that. For instance, Latin America. We have a very good, I didn't put the transparency here, but I can say, a very good collaboration, a network in Latin America called CITED. It's a collaboration that has received funds from Portugal and Spain and many Latin America countries. And Brazil puts money on that. People can provide, present proposals for interchange of scientists and all that. No one of high energy physics have ever applied to that. Never applied to that. So they don't explore what exists already. And that's the message I would like to bring to you. Try to explore what already exists. People in biology, for instance, explore it a lot. It's not a lot of money, but you want to, when you want to do collaboration with another group with two scientists from Argentina or Chile, like other groups do, and go, for instance, they use this a lot for the study biodiversity in the Amazon. All the groups there, they exploit that a lot. So my final message, see what exists, try to explore that, and don't not think that your collaboration is a new thing. Try to improve on that aspect. Thank you very much, and congratulations for you all for your effort.
Well, thank you, Galvão. Before we open for questions, so I just want to say something that since Galvão is here. So something that's important for us in Latin America in high energy physics is the organization of the, and Galvão is now the scientific representative of Brazil in the CERN Council, that we're going to host in Brazil the largest international conference in high energy physics. So ICHEP in 2026 is in Brazil, and we hope to get the support from CNPq, of course.
I knew that he would ask money for something.
I just want 0.5% of what Brazil pays to CERN for this huge conference, because it's the first time it's going to take place in Latin America and in the whole history of this conference.
Yeah, it's just since he said that, it's important for me to mention something else. In CERN, I was in the council meeting last time, and we have to explore opportunities that appear in these international collaborations. You know that Russia is outside now the German collaboration. Sorry, the CERN collaboration. And that has been a problem in CERN, because first, the high level scientists that work in CERN, but some things that Russia had to provide that now there are questions about that. And we have in Brazil, we have Sirius, and it is very much respected by CERN also. So we have to explore those opportunities that Brazil can participate now in the high level magnets and all that has been to developed, right? And so we have to be a bit broadened in the way we think about those collaborations.
Okay, hello, this is Martijn Mulders from CERN. I wanted to come back to the point you made earlier about China joining only one experiment. I looked in the database right now, and China is in all 4 LHC experiments plus 10 other ones. So they changed their mind, apparently. I don't know what you told them, but
It's easy to understand how they changed their mind. Their companies are now participating in the bids, all the collaborations.
Sorry.
So I have a quick question for you and also for you, Martin. So after this investment of CNPq at CERN, there is some kind of agreement that CERN can look for the Brazilian the industry, because we produce Sirius here, and we have a really good industries in Brazil that we can need to be known by CERN people. I want to know if there is some kind of agreement. So I can give money to you, but please look our industries. There is something like that?
Well, maybe Martin can answer better than I, but from what I had, the discussion in CERN, there is a procedure in CERN for all the companies that participate in CERN bids. The first one thing that is important in Brazil is lacking on that, is what I said in the beginning. We have to nominate our industrial liaison officer. He is the one that's during the stays in CERN, knows what is on demand. There is no obligation from CERN that since we pay over 10 billion Swiss francs, that part of that is going to be provided by Brazil. There is no, Brazil has to participate on that. Is compete with other countries also. But also we can have now people from Brazil work in CERN. When there are openings there, they can now work in CERN. You can say more.
I don't know more than you do. So it's true that the 10 million that goes to CERN in principle comes back in the form of industrial return and positions at CERN for Brazilian physicists.
Yeah, the openness that now Brazilian companies can participate in the bids of CERN. So that has to be arranged.
And also we want to bring the industries to ICHEP, because this is going to be a showcase of Brazil. So that's why it's important.
Galvão, just a quick question. So I noticed that the amount that Brazil pays for MNOs to CERN is this 180 or 160,000 since a long time. And now with this new status of Brazil as associate country, is this value still reflecting the new status of Brazil? Will it have to be updated? Will its update depend on some restructuring, as you mentioned, focusing strategic planning of the participation? How is this going?
There are some countries, and I say the one associate member, India, for instance, that pays more than Brazil. They have no scheme like us. Scientists in India, they have to apply for grants for individually. So very few countries have a scheme like we have, provide already fixed money. Okay, so the amount to increase the amount of money per MNO is going to depend on demand and also competition in other areas. You are competing in all other areas. In Brazil, what's now, most of the resources are going now. Artificial intelligence, quantum communication, and biodiversity, renewable energy, climate change, that's top. High energy physics is not among this top. Be very honest. So you have to understand that. So there are some, and that's in all the countries. People that came with us, the Dutch talk with me, the same in Holland. So the fight is always over, is always on. So
Okay. I don't know. I don't see the people online, but if there's an urgent question online, you can ask. Okay, so I don't hear anyone online. So let's thank Galvão for this excellent talk. Now is Professor Sylvio Canuto.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I didn't figure out that these were two meetings into one. So I apologize because on the front slide, I just put the one.
This was decided almost at the last minute, don't worry.
Okay.
So there are new batteries here, hopefully it's going to work.
Okay, so first I have to say that I'm here on behalf of our scientific director, Professor Márcio Castro. So I have to say that he's very pleased to be invited to this, but he could not come. So before I start to say a few things, I have to say that FAPESP, as most of you know, is a state funding agency. So even though FAPESP can participate in some federal involvements and also collaborate with other state funding agencies, it is basically focused on research developed in the state of São Paulo. So what I'm going to talk about mostly, so thank you very much for the invitation. You know, thank you, all of you. It's a great moment to be here today. So I will say a few words about the involvement of FAPESP with the SUN and also the ICTPU, and I will focus mostly on our recent agreement with the Dune project. We are very excited about this project. This is very recent, and as Galvão mentioned, the type of project, I have to say was a few words in all of our involvement. So first of all, you know, CERN is, as opposed to CNPq, most of our contributions or projects that we finance are on individual basis. So there are specific, you know, personal investigators that submit a project to participate in the CERN collaboration, and then we fund them. This is about to change slightly because now we are moving to the case that we have to have an assignment, so some signed agreement, and we are moving into this direction. But in any case, we are contributing indirectly in that sense for some years now. The ICTP is also, there is also some finance from FAPESP, and I have to say that our president, Professor Zago, said in many occasions that FAPESP considered this to be a model for international collaboration, for international center. So as we are here now at in a meeting that involves the ICTPU, I'm very pleased to say that, and we are in the process of increasing the finance for the ICTPU. Before I move into our involvement in the Dune project, I have to say just a few words in the, I understand you now, Galvão. oops, here you go. For the sake of our Brazilian colleagues, we have a new scientific director since 1 year, and some changes have been made. So I think it's useful to have some information for possible applications in the near future. Oh, no. No. Okay, I'm a theoretician, but I don't think this is my. Press 1 and wait. So wait is the secret. I didn't press it. Okay. Oh boy. Now we go. So as I said, for the sake of mostly of our Brazilian, colleagues, FAPESP, the scientific direction now has 3 main divisions. Not really divisions, but 3 separate coordinations. One coordination is by Marta Aretti, who is a colleague. She's in political science. And myself, am a physicist. Very far from the nucleus, by the way. So all the projects that are submitted to FAPESP comes to our coordination, except in 2 cases. One is that if it involves innovation or collaboration with the industry, that goes to the second one as Rodolfo and Douglas. I think it's interesting for you to know that the strategic programs or projects and infrastructure goes into the third one on the rightmost coordination. That involves Carlos Greff, who is a physicist, and Sergio Costa Oliveira, he's a biologist. The reason I'm showing you this is because, as I said, all the projects submitted to FAPESP that normally comes to our coordination. But that one on the right, I think, is the one that interests you perhaps most. Why is that? That's because in that coordination, press once in the way. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So that one, you can see there are 3 divisions. One division is related to subject-oriented programs, like biology diversity, energy related to biosystems, Amazon, and so on and so forth. The one in the middle is the program for infrastructure that has multi-users of facilities, and as you can see there, CERN is under the supervision of Luis Vito. So I think in the coming weeks, perhaps, we are moving into the direction, as I said, to have a more strong collaboration with CERN, starting from signing agreements. So, and the other one, as you can see, is there. So let me say a few words about Dune and why we are so excited about this. In that direction, I have to say that we are very pleased that most of the actors in this are present here. Anna, Ettore, and Pascoal are key elements in the FAPESP involvement with Dune. This is the most recent project that was approved by FAPESP related to the Dune program. As you can see there, Pascoal submitted this, and we had some difficulties in approving this for 2 basic reasons. The first one is that, as you can see here, there are 6 PIs, and there are 36 associate researchers. It's a specific amount of $36 million. The first one, as you can see, that it involves researchers out of the state of São Paulo. As I mentioned before, FAPESP does not finance research which is not from researchers of the state of São Paulo. It means that either reduce the project, which is not very good, or we look for new partners. And that's the idea, that looking for the federal government and the Ministry of Science and Technology. So in our first discussion with the Family Lab, we mentioned this aspect, and the minister was contacted and very promptly approved, which was very important to clean the pathway, so to say, to FAPESP approve its project. This project was evaluated by 4 reviewers. That's the process normally done by FAPESP and mostly, of course, funding agencies. And there is another difficulty here, is because when you send to an outside referee, most of them do not really understand what's going on. In particular, they did not understand, some of them did not understand why a project related to neutrinos had such an amount of money for cryogenics. So this has to be explained. Why is a solid state physicist doing a project involving detections of neutrinos? But overall, the evaluations were very good, very supportive. And these aspects were, they were easily to deal. For some reason, this was not considered before as a special project to be handled by that coordination. So I was invited to take lead of this project in FAPESP. There is another aspect, is that because of the value, every project that is financially above a certain threshold, which is 10 million reais, has to be defended at the Superior Council. The Superior Council has not one single physicist. There's one physical chemist, but not one single physicist. So you have to go to the Superior Council and say, look, neutrino is very important. Why is neutrino very important? There are millions of neutrinos crossing your body right now. Oh, interesting. What can I do with this? Can I catch one? No, you cannot catch one. So these were the challenges that we had to face. But I have to tell you that this was difficult at first. Press and wait, press and wait. So the real boost started with our visit to Family Lab. And I have to give a special thanks to Leah Merminger, who is perhaps in the audience online. We were very well received, I have to say that, very pleased to be there. And then we visited the Family Lab, and we had the scientific director here, scientific director, and our director president. So they were very impressed by this. So it's interesting that you see one with background in biology, was another one's background in economy, that were very impressed by the neutrino subject. I have to say, really very impressed. So after this, FAPESP started to consider the possibility and some excitement about this. Questions about how you produce neutrinos, how you detect neutrinos, is that how the neutrinos oscillate and so on. So these guys were involved with this. So FAPESP is now some of the directors know what's neutrino about. So what's the project? For most of you, of course, know, but in any case, the project is doing is the deep underground neutrino experiment. So they produce neutrino in Chicago, and they detect neutrino in South California, in South Dakota. 1,300 kilometers. The project of doing the total project is slightly more than $3 billion US. As you know, involves 35 countries and more than 200 institutions. So what's the participation of FAPESP? FAPESP then joined with the FINEP, as Galvão just mentioned before, and then FAPESP contributes to $18 million, and the ministry, the FINEP, and FENDCT, another 18. So the total contribution of Brazil is $36 million US. As you can see, very mild compared to $3 billion, and it's still a very important contribution I have to show you soon. But before that, there was a detector data book that was already financed by FAPESP. So as you know better than me, there's going to be produced neutrinos here, detect there, and try to extract some important information. Press and wait. Okay, oops, no. Oh, no. Oh, where do I go now? Here. Okay. So I had to present this for the Superior Council. It's interesting. I mean, the reason I'm saying this is that it is very much exciting, this physics of neutrons. I'm a physicist who works with electronic structure. So I never got close to the nucleus, very far from the nucleus. But still, there are basic questions about physics that can excite people in economy. Perhaps if you try to find a good way to relate this, to tell them. So I presented to the Superior Council, the story from the beginning, the beta decay, the detection of neutrino. So it was postulated to preserve energy. It should be essentially massless, as all you know. 2 years later, 2 years after this, the neutron was detected, and then came the idea of this little neutron from Enrico Fermi and the idea of neutrino. So the question for neutrino detection, Nobel Prizes, as you know this much better than me. I'm just trying to say to you the kind of presentation you have to do to the Superior Council. And then the fantastic experiments of Raymond Davis detected solar neutrinos that it was really caused an impact in the Superior Council because this idea of 1/3 of neutrino was detected compared to what is expected and so on. And finally, the scientific challenges. So can you imagine how people with a different background, economy, medicine, or whatever, getting excited about the 3 types of neutrino oscillation, quest for mass, and et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera. And of course, that's why matter dominates over antimatter. If there is a false neutrino, there's no counterpart, and so on, so on. So now I have to say that this is very excited, and they approved it right away. It was immediately approved, and that was 24th of July. So soon after it was approved by the ministry, it was approved by FAPESP, and it's going. Now, this involves an enormous scientific contribution from Anna, Ettore, Pasquale, and a few other people. Present. Okay. So there is one aspect that's interesting to mention, perhaps, because the way they produce neutrino is, you all know this, but the fact that you have to impact in protons with high energy with graphite and generate pions, but pions is, many years ago, meson pi was discovered by Cesar Lattice, and Paulo got the Nobel Prize, and Lattice is turning 100 years of age. He was born in 1924. So it was one specific year, very good year. And it was also very exciting to see this. So FAPESP, in fact, as you can see, read here, FAPESP comes in fact in 2 important aspects. One is the argon is stable in this is in Portuguese, sorry, in high degree of purity, and also the detection of photons generated by the Arapuca. Arapuca is, I have to say, Arapuca is an important ingredient in the convincing of FAPESP to support this, because the quality of the claimed quality of the detector is expressed by the people in Fermilab. So, long story short, it is approved, and I have to congratulate Ettore, Amelia, and of course Pasquale Pagliuso also for this. Now, in spite of the fact that FAPESP is contributing financially a mild quantity, it's important to understand that the contribution of the Brazilian scientists is very important, because it's related not only to the target, but also to the detector. So these are key elements in the process, and that's recognized by the people at Fermilab. So the perspectives, in fact, and I think this is one important point I want to mention, the importance of this, the perspective is, as was mentioned before, there's enormous impact for the academy and industry, and also for physics and science. As you can see there, there's a collaboration, as it's written there, MCTI, FNDCT, Fermilab, FAPESP, and of course, the University of Campinas. These researchers I just mentioned, they're all from the University of Campinas, but of course it makes all of us very proud. One thing that I have to mention before I just concluded now is that the idea is not only to support the construction of the Arapuca, the further construction of Arapuca, or the liquid argon and so on, but also go beyond these. So what we are working right now is to complement this with an initiative of establishing a hub or facility for Latin American access to effectively participate in analysis of data generated by the experiments. So right now we are in the process of making this hub to go beyond, let's say, the cryogenic and the detector. So data produced by the Dune experiment will be available in this hub and open to all Latin America. And this is, of course, this is going on. Just recently, I've seen there that the Brazilian researchers discovered a new way to purify liquid argon for neutrino experiments. And I don't want to mention more than this because I'm sure that Pascual can say much more than I can say there. And 2 weeks, about 1 month ago, in fact, the first excavation is now complete. And in this moment there, the inauguration that's here, the cavern, the idea of the hub was further extended so that we have now to really work for the going beyond the production of liquid argon and so on. So thank you very much for your kind attention. And yeah.
Thank you very much. So some questions.
We have a
Online question? Or I would like to tell one important thing. So
please.
about this conference, LAIDINE. The LAIDINE 10 years ago, right, was the first time that Arapuca was shown for the community. And for this, Ettore and I, we are really proud to have this community from LAIDINE here. So the first time that we present in a conference this new device that we invented when we was in Italy was in this conference in Albany. So this is, I would like to tell you and to give you the importance of this conference in our area for people that work in liquid noble detectors.
So you're celebrating 10 years now. There you go.
Sylvio, just a quick question. It's an example. So for example, the portfolio of institutes and scientists that participate in the Dune project that was submitted for FAPESP, is it broader than the state of São Paulo? Does it involve Brazil, Latin America? Is this an important aspect of it, this larger regional cooperation?
Yes, that's very important because when this is inside information, perhaps, I don't know if Pascual knows this, but I mean, maybe he does, but when it was discussed that these two difficulties, one is the amount of that was very hard in normally, for past finances. So when people did not understand what's so important to, liquefy argon or whatever, and the second one was because it involves a large number of researchers from the state, outside the state of São Paulo, which FAPESP normally does not support. But then I had, for some reason, this is not in my coordination, but for some reason I was asked to, take this project. And then I realized these things. It's not a good idea to narrow so that you exclude people from other parts of the country. And number two, the importance of the Brazilian participation in the Dune. Not only, you see, when you look at this, it's not only the supporting Pascual and Ettore, and it's more than this. It's open new avenues for the Brazilian science. I'm from the University of São Paulo. I'm very proud of the University of Campinas. I said that in the Superior Council. I mean, this is larger than just producing argon. So it could not be narrowed. So we in certain sense, FAPESP was very sensitive to understand this. And I have to say they were very, very excited when they start to understand what the project was. It's really, it's going to be a really breakthrough in science in a way. And number two, they were very, very impressed when they visited the Fermi Lab. I was also. Yeah.
More questions?
Just if there are no questions, just one final remark. I mean, we are open for this type of projects that are really, really advanced science in such a scale. So, new challenges in science is always, of interest. Thank you.
Okay, let's thank to Professor Sylvio. Thank you very much. And now coffee break.